Hey there! Welcome back to Beauty Bee and to my 15-month update for my project 100 Uses. This is a very self-explanatory project. My goal is to get my products to 100 uses. Title says it all, really. But the last few months, the way that I have been structuring these updates is to show my Hall of Shame, the products that I have not used at all over the past month, and then the Hall of Fame. So products that I have gotten to a goal mark. I have goals set at 20 uses, 50 uses, and of course 100 uses. So because I always seem to manage to film these videos on days where I'm really busy, as usual, I'm going to try to make this really fast, and then I'll probably talk too much and be here for like 45 minutes filming. So we'll see how this goes. Let's start with eyes, then lips, then face. And speaking of eyes, lips, face, my Hall of Shame consists of 2 e.l.f. products. These are 2 of my 4 e.l.f. bite-sized quads. Really, I'm down to 3 by most reasonable metrics at this point because I depotted my hot jalapeno. Oop, I just dug my nail into that. Here's what these look like. I don't know why I don't use these. I feel like both of these products are things that I only end up using when I'm sort of forcing myself to, which is silly because I actually really like them. The shimmer quality on both of these palettes is amazing. They're those very smooth, almost creamy shimmers. The mattes are not anything to write home about. They're a little bit on the dry side, but they perform fine. For a $3 eyeshadow palette, both of these are exceptionally good. And I actually like the colors in both of them. More so in the brown one, which is pumpkin pie, than in the berry one, which is berry bad, but they're both really nice. I need to use these. I will make a point in the coming month of using these a couple times each. Hold me to that. Thankfully though, those were the only eyeshadows that I didn't use at all in the past month. And I did actually get a palette up to 20 uses. This is a relatively new acquisition. I think I've had this for probably right around 2 months. This is the Miss Bliss palette. It doesn't actually look like this. I did a little bit of rearranging, and this ended up being the palette that ended up storing the shades that I didn't particularly want to use. So I do think, though, that most of my usage on this palette has been on Of Quartz, which is this really light pink, and on Optimist, which is this matte coral, as well as there's a shimmery pink that is usually in here. I think it would be called Whoa. I think it's usually right around here. This is a really pretty little palette. This is the most neutral of the 3 tie-dye palettes that ColourPop put out summer of 2020, or maybe even fall of 2020, because their release schedule got all messed up. And I really like it. I thought that this was going to be the one that I used the least often, but it has become the one that I use most often. Probably because it is so neutral and a little bit easier to mix and match with other eyeshadows in my collection than the green yellow palette or the purple pink palette. But really, I'm really happy with this, and I'm very glad that I got it up to 20 uses. So I said lips next, right? I have 4 lipsticks, well, lip products, not necessarily lipsticks, that I didn't use at all in the past month. The first one, I think I'm probably going to end up getting rid of at the end of this year. I think I'm going to do a declutter sometime in December. This is the e.l.f. Lip Lacquer in the shade Tea Rose. It's actually a very pretty color. It looks kind of gray purple in the tube, which I'm not opposed to, but is not a super everyday color for me. However, this does sheer out quite nicely to a little bit more of a lilac pink. And when I first got this, I really did enjoy it because of that, but now I just have lipsticks that give me quite a similar effect as is, and I don't need to worry about this more gray purple color coming through. Also, scents have been bothering me a little bit more lately, and I've never liked the scent on this. It has a very artificial sweet scent to it, which I could really do without. So I'm guessing that this will be going away at the end of the year. Another thing that I'm guessing will probably be going away is this Sephora cream lip stain. This is in the shade. It's in Marvelous Mauve, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. If it's written on the bottom, whatever is written on the bottom is so tiny that I would need to get out a magnifying glass. This is a liquid lipstick. This is a very nude shade. This just isn't a very comfortable shade for me. I find this to be a little bit dry and a little bit sticky and not quite as long wearing as I would want it to be for how dry and sticky it is. But this did really serve me well for a long time. If you were watching my videos, not this summer, but summer of 2020 into fall of 2020, I used this a lot because it was basically the only nude lipstick I had at the time. I was stuck at my parents' during quarantine, and we were making do with a pretty limited amount of makeup because I packed for 2 weeks, you know, when we thought that we were just going to stay home for like 2 or 3 weeks at the beginning of COVID and everything was going to be fine. Yeah. So I have gotten quite a bit of use out of this. I just feel like I have other nudes now. I feel like I have other matte lipsticks now, and this doesn't quite measure up. I need to go into less detail on these things because I'm going to be here forever. 2 more lipsticks. First, we have Secret Club from Revlon. I'm actually not convinced that I didn't use this month. I feel like I might have and just didn't write it down, but I used this a ton at the beginning of the year because it was in my project pan, and I just feel like I haven't been reaching for it as much. I feel like I kind of, feeling a little bit burnt out on this particular lipstick, though I still really like it, and there's a part of me that is actually really excited to get back into using this really regularly, starting in January probably. I'm really looking forward to that. And then Rosy Garden from Flower. I really like this lipstick. It is beautiful, but again, scents have been bothering me a little bit more lately. And this has a very strong floral scent. It's also quite similar in color, though by no means identical, to a shade that we'll actually talk about in my Hall of Fame in just a minute here. So I have not used this. I assume that I will go in spurts of using this and not, because it is such a stunning, stunning color. I feel beautiful when I wear this. And, you know, that's worth a lot. So, love this lipstick. A little disappointed that I haven't worn it this month, but I understand why that happened. And now we get to my Hall of Fame for lipsticks. So let's start with the shade that's actually quite similar to that Flower lipstick. This is again from Revlon. It's actually another super lustrous lipstick. And this is in the shade Cherries in the Snow. This looks a little bit more red in the tube. It's not what I'm wearing today, though it almost looks like it could be. I'm wearing Ruby Woo from MAC today. But here's Cherries in the Snow versus Rosy Garden from Flower. I think you can tell this has a little bit more fuchsia to it. Hair a bit more purple, but overall the effect is pretty similar. I think I've worn this 2 or 3 times this month, and again, it's just such a beautiful, beautiful color. I think you can totally tell why Revlon has had this in their line for like 70 years or something. It's stunning. Another one that I got up to 20 uses is from Tarte. This is one of their, I believe it's their Lip Surgeons balms, and I have the shade Rose. I love the packaging on this. It's this light purple cardboard tube with gold accents, and there's this golden aquatic design on it. I'm not sure if it's intended to be a coral or some kind of underwater plants, but it's really lovely. It's a kind of a thin format tinted lip balm, and I feel like I've been complaining about this in every video recently, so I'm going to keep it short, but my lips have been in terrible shape recently. They're really dry, and I can't do anything to make them better, it seems. But this gives temporary relief, and it looks really, really pretty. This has a nice amount of pigment to it. It's enough that it feels worthwhile to use this instead of a clear lip balm, but not so much that you feel like you need to be really careful with it. And I appreciate that. It does have a little bit of a menthol scent to it, which not my favorite, but even though this doesn't claim to be medicated, I think the fact that it has menthol in it makes me feel like it might be medicated and might be actually really good for my lips, so there might be a little bit of a placebo effect going on with that as well. And then the other product that I got up to a milestone use mark is also a tinted lip balm. This one is from e.l.f. It is their Hydrating Core Lip Shine in the shade Delightful, which is a mauve purple. I have actually gotten this up to 50 uses, and this is rolled all the way up. I have so little of this left. I feel like I might actually pan it in the next month or two, especially considering how much I've been wearing tinted lip balms lately. But I think this is actually a good portion of why I haven't been using the Tea Rose lipstick. Once this gets sheared out a little bit, it becomes actually relatively similar in color to this lipstick, and I just prefer this formula. I think that this is much nicer, and I was gonna say there's not a scent to it, but there definitely is. It's just not very noticeable after a few minutes, and it's a little bit less artificial smelling than the lip lacquer. So, love this little thing. I've bought another one in a deeper shade, and there's a part of me that wants to buy like 3 more, but I am not listening to that part of me because that will get me into trouble. So now let's move to face, which is our final category. I only have 1 item in my Hall of Shame, and I'm actually going to put a little asterisk on this because I actually used it today. I'm wearing it on my cheeks now. This is from e.l.f. It is their, I believe it's their 3-in-1 balm. I don't actually remember the name of these. I have mine in the shade Sparkling Rose, and every time I use this, I'm reminded of just how nice it is. It has this almost cream to powder formula, and I find that especially over when I'm wearing some kind of foundation or even just primer, I find that this blends out super, super easily. I really like the color on it. I wish that it didn't have shimmer to it. I think that's part of what keeps me from using it super regularly. But every time I use it, I'm impressed with this, and jinx myself and say that I'll use this a ton over the next month now that I've yet again discovered just how nice of a product it is. However, I hope that I will use it a lot in the next month because this is such a nice product, and we're reaching about the 1.5-year mark of me having it at this point. Well, I guess we are at the 1.5-year mark because I remember I bought this right around Mother's Day in 2020 because I purchased this on the same Target run that I bought my mom her Mother's Day gift. It's a great product. I need to use it. Goodness. 2 face products that I have in my Hall of Fame are also both blushes. I do promise that I have other products in this face section, just none of them seemed to be worth mentioning in this update. But I have had this Pacifica blush in the shade Wild Rose for a few months at this point. I got this over the summer, and I have gotten this up to 20 uses now. I used this actually quite a bit in the past month because I wasn't wearing makeup for a few days, and this was just such an easy shade to put on my cheeks, to put on my lids. It's just such a pretty shade. It's super soft, it's glowy, it has that nice amount of shine where when you put it on your cheeks it looks like you're wearing highlight. When you put it on your lids it looks like maybe you're wearing 2 shades because of how vibrant it looks when it hits the light the right way, versus it can look a little bit deeper when it's in the shadow of your crease. It's just a nice product. I got this for like $1, and I'm so happy with that purchase. This has worked out really well for me. I've been overall actually really impressed with the Pacifica makeup that I've tried this year. I had not tried Pacifica anything with the exception of, I think, a body mist, and I've probably tried some lotion or something from them. But this year I've tried quite a bit and I've been really happy with all of it actually. And then I did get one item up to 100 uses, and it will be no surprise, probably, but it is my Wet n Wild Rosé Champagne Blush. My packaging is starting to go on this. I think it's largely being held together by this sticker that I should have removed when I first got it, but now I'm kind of glad that I didn't. I have pan in this. I have not used this just 100 times. I owned this for a year or more before I started this project, and I actually probably hit pan right around the 50 use mark. So I'm actually going to try to pan this next year, but I've made such good progress on it. It's such a pretty color. I love how easy to wear for every day it is. And it gives, again, a nice amount of glow. Certainly not as much as the Pacifica one does, but it's a nice little sheen. And I'm really happy that I've gotten this up to 100 uses. That gives me a lot of faith that I am actually going to be on track to pan this in 2022, which will be super exciting. I don't think I've ever panned a full-size blush before. Okay, that brings us to the end of this update. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed, and I hope you'll consider liking and subscribing if you did. I am looking forward to hopefully seeing all of you next time. Bye!